Welcome everyone to the podcast everyone and their dad will be listening to. Nah, okay, I'm not doing that. I just instantly regretted my decision.
No, that's perfect. Okay, let's roll with this.
Okay.
Fuck yeah.
Alright. Welcome everyone to the podcast everyone and their dad will be listening to. My name is Joe, and I'm joined by Ralph.
Hello.
And also joining us is Arran.
Hi, sorry, that...
This is horrible. Okay,
no, it's perfect. Dads love this. Yeah. Dads love this kind of humor.
Did I angle my hello right, Ralph?
Yeah, of course you did.
Oh,
I should point out, this isn't rehearsal anymore, Aaron. This is his recording.
Yes.
I know. Yeah.
Okay, well, anyway, you guys are listening to our podcast, Munch Media.
What? Ooh.
And it is a podcast about things we find interesting within the media industry. That's it's about as interesting as it gets, you know. We're up for some spicy content today. I think
Super spicy.
Yeah, exactly. You got to get that alliteration in there just to, you know, really pull the viewers in. So I think we're going to start with probably games, because I think that's probably our
biggest... love them.
Yeah.
EA and Battlefront 2.
EA Battlefront 2 loot boxes. Let's get into it.
Right, guys. No one's ever talked about this before. Breaking news. We're not.
EA is bad.
4 weeks
EA
late.
is bad.
EA is bad. Okay, perfect.
Cool. That's that news covered. Let's move on.
Moving on. So yeah, what games have you guys been playing recently? I think that's the easiest way to start this off. A good topic to start.
Yeah, totally.
Who wants to go first?
To be honest, I've not been playing a lot of games recently.
Okay, cool.
Cuphead. I've been stuck on Cuphead.
Okay.
The other day I spent 3 or 4 hours on a single boss.
Should probably explain what Cuphead is.
Yeah.
Cuphead is a game.
Cool.
What does game Cuphead consist of?
It's a 2D platformer. It's really enjoyable. Do you think we should? Sorry. Do you think we should launch into explaining what a game is? Because it might come off as kind of like, you know. Hey,
no. I mean, if nobody knows what Cuphead is, get into it.
Give a general rundown. Like, you don't need to get into the nitty gritty. Just say it's a 2D platformer. It's like
For those of you who don't know, video games are things you play on your computer with a controller or a mouse and keyboard.
So Cuphead's a 2D platformer, infamous for being hard as nails. There's this one boss that the community has struggled with, likewise with myself. So 3 or 4 hours sitting in a chair, throwing my controller halfway across the room now and again just because of how fucking frustrating it is.
What's frustrating about him?
Attack pattern. Okay, so it took me an hour to learn like the first 2 stages of the boss, but the third one's really, really cheap. The attack pattern is fairly simple, however, like you can blow up the projectiles that the boss fires at you, but they split into even more projectiles, meaning that you have a much larger area where you could be hit from.
Do they all cause like the same damage?
Yeah.
Wait, so then what's the point of... Wait, doesn't blowing them up just make it harder for yourself then?
Yeah, so you try to avoid them, but sometimes you accidentally blow one
because you're
of them
shooting
up.
at the boss, right?
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Basically, you're running away from the boss who's shooting projectiles at you, but you have to turn around and actually damage him to actually eventually kill him. Grim Matchstick, that's the name of the boss.
That's a good
dragon.
name.
Yeah.
He's really cool, but honestly, like like sitting in a chair, like going through the same intro only to die multiple times in a row was just like...
It is killer, but it obviously kept your attention, didn't it?
So demoralized. I was like, fuck it, I'm not leaving this chair until I beat him, and then 3 o'clock in the morning, I finally got to bed.
Did you beat him?
Yeah, I did. I was
okay. That's good.
Apparently, he's the hardest, or at least second hardest boss in the game. So that feels like a milestone.
Yeah, totally.
And I'm generally not one to like if a game's hard, like I'm generally quite a defeatist. I'll give up really fucking easily. But I was so determined to beat him.
I think it depends.
It's such a lovely looking game. So.
Yeah, like art style goes a long way. Presentation. For those of you who don't know, Cuphead is hand drawn and it's animated to look like an old 1920s Disney cartoon. Yeah, so if you can imagine like old was about to say Donald Duck. That's not who I'm thinking of. Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
Think of like old Mickey Mouse cartoons, but without the like rampant racism, and you're like halfway there. It's like really gorgeous to look at. But I think like obviously a challenge in a video game is something that you kind of rise to. You want to be a part of. You want to see if you can beat it. But if it's just endless kind of grinding, no hope whatsoever, you will hardly ever follow through with it. Games like Cuphead and Dark Souls, which have like amazing art styles and amazing atmosphere, kind of keep you interested, keep you there, even when it's really sort of humiliating and disheartening.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't have stuck around for as long if the art style, and especially I fucking love the music.
Right? Yeah, of course.
And it was so brilliant to actually defeat Matchstick, simply because after you defeat each boss, you get what was it? It's like
you get like new abilities, don't you?
No. You buy abilities separately. Like you go through these run and gun stages, you get currency through them, and then you can buy like upgrades. But anyway, you get you get like a bill after you defeat each boss, and basically they help you progress through to different areas in the same world. And Grim Matchstick is probably the last boss everyone will defeat in World 2, so it was so great to finally progress to the
right world. It lets you access more of the game.
Yeah, of course. Plus, I don't want to be shooting at a dragon for like a week or something.
No,
definitely not. No. See, this is interesting to me because I missed out on the whole Cuphead thing, but obviously
it's so good. You should really give it a try. Although
I was thinking about it,
but sucks.
Does it? Okay, yeah. My controller actually just broke recently, which sucks because I have some really like games that I love, like Rocket League and stuff, which I just can't play anymore.
Any generous viewers watching, please do donate to the Patreon.
No.
We don't have one.
No, we don't have one.
Just everybody throw controllers at Joe.
It's cool. I'll just collect 1p's off the pavement until I add up enough and I can go out.
Well,
wait, what controller do you need?
It really doesn't matter. Just any controller. Like, it's just so sad. Like, because some games like Rocket League and even Dark Souls and stuff are just so unplayable without a controller, and I'm just sad.
Well, I mean, Dark Souls literally doesn't give you the right button prompts if you don't have a controller.
Yeah, so...
like it's ridiculous that a game will pop up mouse and keyboard instructions.
Yeah,
it won't pop up mouse and keyboard instructions. Like, it just seems ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's like it's because of like you buy a book, but it's all in French.
it's telling you the wrong language. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's completely telling you the wrong way of doing things, which is ridiculous.
I had a friend though who actually collected one just money off the ground for like I think it was a year, and no joke, he managed to get 70 quid.
Nice.
By the end of the year. So yeah, there is actually some benefit, but you don't want to like.
In fairness, that is enough for a controller.
It is, yeah. That would definitely get me, at least 1.5 controllers.
1.5 controllers.
Ridiculously overpriced. I don't know if you guys have seen, like, they know as well. Microsoft knows.
Xbox One controllers.
Just literally any controller. Like,
I can't find anything for like under 40 quid.
Yeah, how they get you is the wireless controllers are really cheap, but obviously, like, so people that don't know that you won't be able to wirelessly connect it without another wee adapter thing. That's how they get you. So they make you buy the wireless one for cheaper, and then it doesn't work with your computer, and then you go, oh shit, like, I need to buy another thing, so you're paying more money, and that's how they pull you in. So
it's the really, Apple effect.
Yeah, it's the Apple effect.
It's the iPhone technique.
It really gets you, and I feel sorry for anyone who.
Apple took a bit of a beating this year because of all the furore around their new iPhones.
Yeah.
People just got tired of their shit, basically, and they took a bit of a hammering in stock prices.
I think, what was it? Samsung did something that I've got to commend them on.
Oh, you mean their exploding phones?
No, not trying to assassinate everyone who buys their products. But if you weren't aware, the screens for the iPhone 10 are what was it made out of? Like this they're like, oh, I don't know, they're like
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's the material.
But anyway, there was pretty much no company on the planet who can manufacture OLED screens to the demand of Apple like Samsung can. So they've entered into a deal, and Samsung are essentially producing all of the screens for the iPhone 10. However, shortly after that, they came out with, an advert basically, picking on the iPhone, just iPhones in general.
Yeah.
Like, if you've seen that, it's amazing. But,
yeah, it's a good ad.
I think Apple can't touch them or like complain about it or maybe even sue them
because they control the supply line.
Exactly, yeah.
It is
and
smart.
obviously, if they, I'm sure there's it's a big long contractual agreement, so they couldn't just stop manufacturing them.
Oh, that's really cheeky. That's really good.
It's even worse for Apple.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Because the way they're trying to dig themselves out of the hole is by putting a lot of money into LG. Because obviously Samsung has no contenders right now, major contenders in terms of technology. Because Samsung have such a large range of technology, everything from TVs to even Bluetooth devices to obviously phones and stuff. So LG are the closest thing, and Apple literally just keeps dumping money into LG, investing in them to try and overtake Samsung. So that
just trying to desperately diversify what they can build.
Yeah, definitely. So it's quite interesting to see that.
Yeah, I mean, there's been rumors about Apple for years and years and years trying to build consoles, trying to build smart TVs, various household appliances. I can see them doing it, but given Apple's whole "we are perfection" kind of motif, I can see them constantly just trying to play catch up with everybody before they launch anything. Yeah, and at the same time, can you imagine if Apple launched a game console, the amount of anger, with a Microsoft controller and needing a Wi-Fi adapter? Imagine all the different little bits and pieces that you could only get through Apple that you have to buy through their stores.
They tried launching a console which was very similar to a PC. I think around about the late 90s, early 2000s, but it wasn't a success.
Oh, right, yeah. They launched a gaming computer, right? Yeah, totally. Fuck, I can't remember what that's called.
I've got a feeling it's the Pippin.
It's one of these kind of.
It's called the Apple Bandai Pippin.
Right, that's it. Pippin's such a bad name.
Did anybody watch that show on CBeebies years ago with that dog called Pippin?
That rings a bell. I won't lie to you. It does ring a bell.
It's called Come Outside. It's got a 16 woman, in a plane. Honestly, Come Outside. And basically, they fly to different places and stuff. The dog's dead, but I mean...
Wait, what? In the show?
No, it's not
okay.
It's not a zombified dog.
Okay.
But, yeah.
That would... that would be an interesting CBeebies show right there.
Yeah, that's pretty adventurous for them.
Yeah, some nice controversial content.
Just
coming out there.
A dead dog showing you around the world.
That's how desperate the BBC are getting to get reviews now.
Hey kids, Pippin's dead. Dead on the inside, that is.
It's like with CBeebies show with a new twist. Pippin strikes back from the grave. And,
I have a picture of Theresa May here. That's unnerving.
Yeah.
Childhood is ruined.
They're tied in with EA as well to Plants vs Zombies, the new game. Pippin's a playable character for only £5 more from a random chance loot box. Ooh.
Hey
how
kids,
amazing.
You got a 2% chance of unlocking Pippin in the latest Super Slam Summer Crate. So buy one of them.
Anyway, we're trying to stay away from this whole crate stuff, so let's...
It's too juicy.
It is. It's juicy. You can't resist it, because it's just...
You can't resist it.
It's a world that's unimaginable.
No, everybody and their dad can't resist it.
Exactly.
Right. What else have people been playing? Because we were talking about video games.
Oh,
I have been loving Starbound recently. Starbound
Starbound?
It is a 2D sort of it's a very sandboxy game. It's by the people who made Terraria. Can't remember their name. And basically it's basically modern Terraria, if that makes sense. It's all the gameplay elements of Terraria with a different art style. And
it's very
space.
similar, yeah.
Okay, cool.
It feels very familiar if you've played Terraria, but as someone who respects Terraria but didn't like playing it, if that makes sense. Like, all my friends really liked it, but I could never get into it, and I never knew why.
Uh-huh.
And I think it's because I never felt connected to the world because of obviously how outrageous like the characters looked and stuff, because obviously they're so small and like
it's very like cartoonish and otherworldly.
Yeah, it's not. I had no connection to it, and I just didn't like the whole idea of being underground for so long and like just being in darkness and stuff. But in Starbound, like
that's fair enough.
Yeah, I like most of the time I was on the surface was like when I enjoyed it the most, but there was so much mining in underground that I was just kind of put off by it. But anyway, there's lots of different ways to play the game, and I still think Terraria is amazing. I just didn't enjoy playing it personally. But with Starbound, I played it when it like sort of first came out, and I didn't enjoy it that much. And but I went back to it the other day because like one of my friends got it, and like there's been so many updates, and there was like big news about it being like how it should have been when it came out, basically. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna give it a shot. And it came out of early access like a year ago or something. And it was, it's just so amazing. Like, everything from the actual being on a planet and, like, going mining and stuff feels much more natural, and the characters are, like, sized up, and everything feels more realistic in a way, even though it's still, like, obviously really cartoony in 2D. And, like, you get your own ship, you can upgrade it, you can go to spaceports, you get a mech, which you can, like...
Okay, I'm listening.
Fly out of your mech and go around asteroid fields or, like, board other ships, like, which can be friendly or hostile. And... it's just like, you know, when people talk about space games and they're like, oh, I wish I could go like be on a ship with my friend, or like, wish I could like board other ships and stuff. It's kind of like that.
I think that every day.
Yeah, it's weird because this game has those features, and don't get me wrong, they're not like super in depth. It's not like you're a space crew that like, and you can get like in a gunner seat and like start, you know, shooting out and stuff. But it's like it's probably the closest I've had to that experience.
Cool.
That's even including like Elite Dangerous, which apparently has plans for that, but I won't go into that at the moment.
It does a bit, yeah.
But
Elite Dangerous does have some of that stuff.
Yeah,
it's called multi-crew, and if you have a ship, if you fly a spaceship that has enough room, enough seats, different people can come in and take control. So like one of you can be a gunner, one of you can fly like a small fighter that launches out. It's actually, the way it launches is pretty cool. It's like a cargo scoop almost, opens up in the back of the big spaceship, and it is like you just get launched into space and then can sort of swerve around in this very fast little fighter. But it's obviously kind of difficult to get like 3 or 4 people together, and to have somebody who's willing to like just sit in the passenger seat for hours on end while somebody else flies a very cool spaceship.
I played it recently because it was on sale. I actually refunded it because it didn't... I enjoyed it, but I think I'm going to wait till more updates roll out before I actually get into it.
That's fair enough.
I think I thought it was so cool, but like my main problem with it was it's a game that you could play casually, but like you're not going to get the whole experience. I think it's like...
No, absolutely not.
It's so deep within like, the lore and everything.
Yeah, Elite Dangerous is a very difficult game to enjoy.
Yeah.
It's everything you do in it takes forever. It's a game that requires a lot of patience, a lot of input, a lot of dedication, and is honestly just very difficult and very poorly explained.
Yeah.
It's a game that requires you to sink like a good 50, 60 hours into it before you can get to the fun stuff.
Yeah.
And even then, the fun stuff, because, hey, you know, the game is set in space and space is really big, can take you hours and hours to find. Whereas something like Starbound, everything is, from what I can gather, much closer. It isn't a game that, it's not a game that relies on, like say Elite Dangerous, realistic proportions. Like a planet isn't going to be exactly 37 million light years away from where you are now. It's going to be like a short hop, jump, and a skip.
Yeah, exactly. I think with Starbound as well, like obviously because like you said, it's a lot less ambitious in those terms. So like they have a lot more freedom, especially with like the type of art style. So there's things like you can make your own space station, for example, which I think is just
cool.
Like so awesome. Like you just speak to this guy and he's like, bring me these materials and I'll give you the start of a space station. And obviously you can upgrade it over time and stuff, which I've not done yet. But I've found out all of this stuff within like 8 hours of gameplay, which is like
that's
crazy.
Cool.
And that's not a bad thing in the way I've done it all yet, but I know about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like one of those games where you can do everything early, but you upgrade stuff over time. So it's not like you just get access to everything instantly. Kind of like people had problems.
So is building the space station kind of like building a base? Is it like a hub that you'd use? Okay.
Too sure yet. I know with like they've continued the stuff from Terraria in terms of like you can make houses on planets and then you can move people in. But in Starbound you actually can like make them pay rent, which is interesting because like obviously in Terraria they were just shopkeepers or whatever, and in Starbound you can actually make them pay rent, and they'll get you to do quests for them, which will like increase your relationship or whatever, and then they'll give you quests to get new people to, like, for example, me and my friend got a quest from our like settler, and he was like, oh, we need to set up defenses for the base, and he basically took us to find this other guy who was a different race, and he was like, oh, I'll be your defender. And he had like a weapons crate for us or something. But now we need to set up a like defense post for this guy that we met. So it's all linking together and makes us feel like we're actually building a colony rather than just being a building. Yeah.
It seems like it's kind of a natural set of needs. Like character A needs this to function, character B needs this to function. That's cool. It seems like it's written so that what you're building, what you're developing actually represents the people who live there.
Yeah, definitely.
That's cool.
That was the other thing, actually. You need to, like, for them to be happier, you get, like, furniture that, like, for example, their race likes. So it's really in depth. And this is just, like, the housing. And you can have as many of these
as you want. That's very Sims-ish.
Yeah, it's a game with a lot of content. And that's what
Can you remove the doors from the room they're in and set fire to the house?
No, unfortunately not.
Can you build a swimming pool on the planet and remove the ladder?
I don't know how that works exactly because they need requirements to like actually live in the house.
If they die, do they become ghosts?
No, I don't think so. I don't think that's
blah, rubbish.
Terrible.
Get rid of this game.
0 out of 10.
0 out of 10.
I'm going to leave a bad Steam review right now.
Not enough ghosts.
But yeah, I'm really enjoying it, and that's about all I have to say for Starbound right now.
Awesome.
Cool. No, I'm a sucker for a good space game. That sounds really cool. To be honest with you, I was sold the moment you said mechs, and that you can develop a space station. That's awesome. No, I'll definitely check that out.
Yeah.
I've also been spending a lot of time in space. And there's a lot of it because it's Endless Space 2, the follow-up to Endless Space, a game I've never played. But
never heard of it.
Yeah,
it's they're very cool. It's the Endless games. It's a series. You have like Endless Legend, Endless Dungeon, and Endless Space, and they're all kind of tangentially related.
Okay.
So the first game I played was Endless Legend, and it takes place on a single planet, and essentially you choose a faction to play as. And the thing that sets this apart from most other strategy games is that the different playable factions are very unique. They have their own backstory, own lore, characters. They all feel wildly different in terms of how they're presented and how you play as them. So for example, in Endless Legend, you could play as this kind of human faction who were kind of brilliantly ancient descendants of a crashed expedition that crashed on a spaceship, and they kind of colonize this world, and they're not sure how this ancient, amazing technology works. And in Endless Space, you play within the universe where that game takes place. So you play as those spacefaring travelers. And the different factions sort of carry on with that. So, for example, I've played one game where I will play as, they're called the Sophons. And they're basically like mad geniuses who are willing to like destroy suns just to see what happens.
Okay, yeah.
And so, for example, they're all about researching technology, they're all about scientific achievements, which means that you focus way more on, the development of technology and trying to like advance science. That's what they're all completely about. And cool things will happen, like if you research a piece of technology that nobody else has access to, you will get like a huge bonus on the next piece of technology. So you can just chain together all of these different pieces of technological development, which really makes you feel like your civilization is evolving at a really rapid pace.
Yeah.
Like that's a very cool feeling to have in a big strategy game, which is, and for those of you who don't play strategy games, they're often very long.
Yeah,
and it's a lot of waiting for the next thing to be developed. It's a lot of waiting for the next building to get finished. It's a lot of waiting for the next area to get colonized. With endless space, everything moves pretty quickly. It has a really fantastic pace to it.
Yeah.
Where the early game is a lot of exploration. You're going from different star system to star system, trying to map out the galaxy. And then colonizing it, trying to build up your empire. But you really quickly run into other players. You really quickly run into AI. And that quickly leads into this kind of frantic diplomatic stage of a game where everybody's trying to form trade routes or alliances. And then that builds you up for the mid-game and the late game, which, depending on the ultimate goal you're aiming for, because in a lot... there are multiple victory conditions, and each of those are achievable with the different factions, but you can tell that some factions are designed to win in a certain way. So, for example, with the guys I was playing as, it made a lot of sense to go for a technological victory, which is essentially you develop your technology and your scientific abilities further than anyone else. With the next faction I played as, to give you an idea of just how different each game is, I think they're called the Vodon or the Vodine, and they're this really bizarre kind of black and gold kind of robotic looking species.
Yeah,
but they don't seem to have an actual body. They just seem to be made of a golden dust, and their history is quite vague, and it sounds like they're extremely religious, and they believe that this gold dust is the key to like an enlightening the universe. So they somehow manage to make themselves into it, and their whole thing is going and harvesting this energy from different species.
Okay.
And the way they play is extremely slow compared to the other factions. You're essentially nomads who go around trying to convert different species to your religion, so you can then harvest their energy, which is quite grim.
Yeah, it sounds grim, but in a cool way.
It's extremely grim, but like imagine, but like they look really cool. Like they're all very like triangular, and just like pitch black and gold. It's a really, really striking look. And for them, instead of focusing on technology and on development, because there are so few of you, because you don't really colonize planets, because you're essentially always on the move, your whole thing is trying to either build up diplomatic relationships with people so that you can essentially work these like quite gross trade deals where you say, oh, well, we will protect you, we will provide you with security services, we will trade you goods and minerals we mine. But in return, can we have a bit of your life force? Can we just like harvest a few of your citizens?
So they actually tell them that they're gonna
like straight up. You're like there's just an option for that you unlock when you're on a good enough terms with a faction to just brainwash them.
Okay.
to just send in priests and say, oh, by the way, this is our new religion. You should offer up sacrifices, which makes me feel quite bad. And the thing I've discovered with them is you also have to focus, surprisingly, on a lot of military, because, hey, guess what? People don't really like it if you just turn up and start harvesting civilians. Yeah, brainwashing them and harvesting civilians. Like it makes sense. It makes sense that people are a bit iffy about that.
Yeah. Do you know what that sounds like? It sounds like the thing from Rick and Morty where there's that whole planet.
It totally is. It totally is.
Yeah.
It totally is.
It totally
it's really like that, and I've had to deal with like multiple rebellions, but the cool thing about them, is because they're nomadic, they don't build up cities the way that you would normally do in a strategy game. You have arcs, and arcs will sort of hover in a system, colonize planets, use what they want there. But if things get a bit too much, you can just unanchor them, and then they act as essentially like giant colony ships. So you can just move to another system, and in doing this, you just sort of leave everything behind.
Okay.
Which sounds like you're just sort of saying, okay, well, this hasn't worked for us. We're packing up and leaving. We're going to try this again. But I noticed last night that if I hover over that system, there's a little icon that I didn't notice before.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, I wonder what this is. And I hovered over it, and it just said hunting grounds. So I'm pretty sure these guys are the bad guys.
Yeah.
They do sound very indifferent to people's...
I think they're really evil.
Yeah.
Wow. The game itself looks beautiful, by the way. I was going to say.
It's gorgeous. Yeah, it's really gorgeous. A lot of the art in it is hand drawn.
Yeah.
Which is very cool. It's always nice to see that in a game. And the art for all the different factions and the music for all the different factions changes significantly.
Oh, that's cool.
So like with the Vodenai, it's very a lot of religious iconography. It's all very grand and epic feeling. It's all narrated to you as if it was a myth. With, say, the human factions, it's all presented to you as if it's like Starship Troopers or something from Warhammer. It's really a kind of grim Imperium, and like with the Sophons, it has all of their art, all of their cutscenes, all of their characters kind of feel like they're from really weird sitcoms.
Okay.
Like they're all just like these weird little bug people.
Yeah.
Who are just like hell with it. Let's just blow up a planet. Let's blow up a sun. Why? Because science says we should see what happens.
Yeah. Do you know what that faction reminded me of actually? The Dwemer from the Elder Scrolls universe. Because
they totally are.
Yeah. It's interesting that you can like make all these connections, and like I was going to ask, like, how is the game actually, like, presented? Because obviously a lot of strategy games are, like, I mean, it's probably top-down, but, like, can you see inside these ships? Can you actually see your wee citizens, or is it...
Cool. So, it's got kind of multiple layers to it. So, if you pull the camera all the way back, you basically have a view of the galaxy that you inhabit.
Okay.
And the galaxies are all randomly generated. You can set certain parameters, so you can kind of decide what type of galaxy you want. So you could say you want it to be elliptical, you want it to have spiraling arms, you want it to be a ringed galaxy. You can set the age of it. Is it new, old? And that will kind of change, the age of the suns, which in turn changes the materials available on planets, the type of planets they are. Once you zoom down from the galaxy level, you start to see star systems, which are represented by the stars. So you just see kind of dots within the galaxy. And those are all connected. So you'll see like a line. That's think of them as like motorways or as roads. They are paths you can follow that connect the different stars. Those make up constellations. And you can zoom into any of those and you see the planets, the moons that revolve around it. You see that you have ships in the area. Those are represented almost as if they're holograms. Okay. So you kind of get the feeling that you're looking at... trying to think how to describe it. You ever play Mass Effect?
Yes.
Right. You remember on the ship in another great space game.
Yeah.
On Mass Effect, you would look down at the map and it would be like a holographic representation of the Milky Way.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. It looks like you're looking at a display on like a board. And all your ships will be represented by these kind of holograms. You can zoom in all the way and see like space stations orbiting your planet and things like that. Okay. When you do actually see ships, it's normally in the context of a battle, which actually I haven't talked about yet. The combat's really cool. Before you go into any fight, you don't have any control over your units or your ships during combat. But what you can do is select a general strategy that you will employ.
Okay.
So you could say, okay, I want my left flank to move forward, right up beside them. I want the middle section of my troops to hold back. I want everybody on the right-hand side to move forward as well. And what you can then do is watch the battle take place.
Yeah.
And there is like an automatic camera thing that tries to make it really cinematic.
Yeah.
But as with all of these things, it's normally just like close-up shots of like bits of metal and nothing really makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
But you can use like a free camera and sort of fly up high and see a more tactical view.
That's cool.
So yeah, like the space combat's really cool because you are essentially giving up control. You're essentially saying, okay, I trust that they will do okay with this set of rules, with this set of instructions.
I like that more than actually like going in and like doing heavy micromanaging, because I think that makes sense, because like obviously if you have like a fleet or like even just combat stuff, there's always going to be another person in command of that fleet. It's like not one person would ever control all of those realistically.
No,
you'd send out an
not.
order, and then the guys in charge on those ships would then like do their job. You know, it's like that sort of thing.
It feels way more. It helps with the feeling that you are a higher up in this faction. You are higher up in this society, rather than say Total War games, which I love to pieces. I love the Total War series, but with those, you do have to control every single unit when it comes to a fight. And sometimes that just gets really tiring after a while.
Yeah.
You don't want to spend hours and hours of this campaign fighting every single small battle because you don't trust the AI to do what it's meant to do. With Endless Space, the AI seems capable enough as long as you have prepared your troops, as long as you have decided to build the ships to the most effective level, which is the other thing you can do, not before battle, but when you're building your ships, you can go in and design them, which is pretty fun. Not to like a crazy level of customization, but you essentially have spaces on the ship that are modules. And you can say, oh, for this one, I would like a module that increases its speed. I would like this type of turret here. I would like a fighter bay put here, a shield here. And so you can kind of customize your troops beforehand. And send them in, and hopefully do well. But yeah, it means that you focus way more on the strategy. It means you focus way more on building up your cities, your planets, and it means you can spend a lot more time focusing on your end goals than getting caught up with the grind that a lot of strategy games get caught up in, which is long combat, long development. It's very cool.
I like that.
Yeah, I love it.
Have any of you heard of a game called Hearts of Iron 4?
I have.
Oh yeah, heard of it. Never played.
I bought it ages ago, and it looked really cool, but I never really got into it. And I've always wanted to get into real-time strategy games, but I think I was really jumping into the deep end. But anyway,
yeah, that's a pretty hardcore one.
Yeah,
like that is right in at the deep end.
Yeah. Like I think literally for a solid hour, it was just sitting like with the tutorial open in one tab, the game open in another, being like, how the fuck do I actually play this? And it looked genuinely fun, like something you'd put a lot of time and effort into trying to master once you learn the basics. But Jesus Christ, it like I was in over my head. I think probably
honestly, a really good starting point for strategy games is the Civilization games.
Yeah,
really? I
definitely.
was just about to ask actually if what would be a good starting point.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, Civ. Civ 6. Haven't played it. It's quite expensive. I would say Civ 5 you can get with all of the expansion packs, all of the DLC for a pretty reasonable price.
Super cheap.
Yeah, super cheap.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, the Civ games do a really good job of very slowly introducing you to everything you have to do. And in terms of how deep those games go, you don't really have to deal with anything too complicated.
Yeah.
It's all very well explained. It's all very well... it's all very...
well laid out.
It's quite simple, I think. Like you literally you have your army, you have like workers, you can attack, you can focus on technology, you can focus on building new structures and growing your population, and then it's very obvious, like all the paths are very obvious what you're going for. So like the upgrades you get to like your civilization and stuff, like the trees, the different like trees and stuff, it's like this one is this one is this. So it's like, are you going for the route?
It's all very well explained. It's all very obviously marked. It has a pretty clean UI.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, because it's quite a cartoony looking game, it never quite feels as serious. So like, it feels okay when you mess up. It feels okay if you make a mistake. It doesn't feel like a game that punishes you. It wants you to go through these ups and downs, to make mistakes, to learn its systems.
Yeah.
I think
it's pretty cheap at the moment. $32.50, and that's including like. Well,
are you sure that's
I would...
Civ 5? Civ 5 should be a lot cheaper than
I
that.
would wait as well. Anyway, when it goes on sale, it genuinely goes down to about £5 or something ridiculous.
Yeah, like I think I got it for like £5, and that was with all the DLC, which is insane.
Yeah. I think I'll wait, or I might even buy like a game key off G2A if that's
I don't know about that.
acceptable.
It's a bit dodgy nowadays, but I don't know.
We don't condone game keys. They're bad. Don't do
do
them.
not condone. Unless it's Humble Bundle.
Sorry, guys.
Like, unless it's Humble Bundle. Do it for charity.
For charity. But
not for like some weirdo.
Just so we can try and move away from the RTS and like gaming stuff. We'll move on to something else in a second. But I want to add one more thing, because with RTSs, like there's different types of RTSs as well. Because like you've got these big war ones, but then you've got ones like RimWorld, which are like smaller.
Oh right, of course.
You're more. I like those ones more. They're my preferred like RTS kind of thing, because you're more connected to like your wee people. Like for example, there's one that I really want to do well, but it's just getting updated so slowly, and by a small dev team called Stonehearth, which sounds like a Hearthstone ripoff, but it's not.
It really does.
It came out before Hearthstone, I'm pretty sure, but either way, it's Stonehearth, right? It's like it's got a really cute art style sort of thing. Like everything's like really smooth, and like each of your wee villagers has a name, and like you can rename them, and they have like stuff they're good at, and it's basically just like you chop trees, you can build like a village. The building infuriates me in it because it's like really not done very well. It's really unpolished, which sucks because like everything else is really fun, and I love the idea of the game because it's more like, rather than being like a city builder or something, it's more of a village sort of thing. Like you can get to a city point if you like really played it, but I'm like someone who personally prefers like smaller, more memorable.
Yeah, it feels way more personable.
Yeah,
so, like with a large strategy game, it often feels very detached.
Yeah,
and after a certain point, you just start, instead of looking at your culture and your civilization, you just start looking at the numbers.
Yeah, exactly.
Which in and of itself is a lesson about our political systems.
Right.
I mean, you were talking about harvesting manpower.
Look, all I'm saying is that if you harvest manpower from other civilizations, you can grow and become the master of the galaxy. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, fair enough. Then. I mean, that concept does sound pretty awesome, but like get ahead, but the expense of killing people.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't put it. I wouldn't put it on like campaign leaflets.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe in like my third term, I'll start to introduce it little bit by little bit.
Well, just like all corporate companies like to do.
They're just like all corporate companies, siphoning our souls to further the galactic conquest.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Anyway, we should move on. We'll move on now to a new section. I think we'll move on to movies because I think that'll be our next hard hitter.
Fuck yeah.
And I know Arran has some things lined up for this for sure. So, Arran, take it away.
Where to start? So I know I've probably both mentioned to you recently. I've started watching Kubrick's movies. I thought there'd be a lot bigger library of films to watch.
No. He only made like 7 films or something, didn't he?
It's crazy. Over his 48 year career.
Yeah.
He's actually only made a few amount of movies. However, a lot of them do contain very experimental, like pioneering techniques, and that's probably why they're so successful today. Maybe not necessarily, when they were initially.
Yeah. Famously, a lot of his films were just ignored or panned critically when they first came out.
2001. Clockwork Orange. That was hated when it came out. He actually got pulled from cinemas.
Right, yeah.
And of course, The Shining, like, that wasn't enjoyed by people.
Really, I imagined The Shining would have been quite well received on the time.
No, a lot of people thought that. The reception was. I think it was okay at best. Like, King hated it. A lot of critics, I don't know, thought Shelley Devon. They thought her acting in it was actually terrible. In fact, she was. Her and Kubrick were up for Razzies. He was up for worst.
Wait,
director.
really?
Yeah, he was up for worst director, and Duvall was up for worst actress. It was terrible. I thought she gave a great performance.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Because of course the way Kubrick treated her on set was awful. But that's the that was with the intention of seeping into her performance. I mean, there was new abuse, to be honest. The way that he treated her.
Yeah, he's very. Films are amazing, but very notorious for being definitely like a control freak. Definitely trying to get his vision out there, and if it wasn't possible, would get quite angry with people.
Yeah, of course, but I still love the movie anyway.
Yeah,
honestly, oh god, it's one of those movies I could watch quite happily, consistently. Maybe like leave it for an hour, then watch it again after first sitting.
Yeah,
and just
here's an idea. If you want to talk about The Shining, since I haven't seen it and I don't want to get spoiled, could you talk about it while I quickly run to the bathroom?
Certainly.
I have also not seen it, but
I would
quick, Joe, let's run to the bathroom.
I would spoil it though.
Okay.
But it's
so you would recommend it? Is what
okay, I'm going.
So
I'll be back in a second.
Good. Yeah, no worries. When I first watched it, Joe, I thought, why the hell is this so loved? It's not that good. And then I watched it the second time, and something really strange happened. I started picking up on all these details, and kind of like it felt like for me when I first watched it there was an element missing. But then when I went back and watched it a second time, there was things I picked up on the second time.
So do you think that's why it was received badly? Because people saw it the first time.
Who's going to go and see a film they didn't like very much the second time in cinema?
Yeah, especially like in the cinema, I feel like it's a completely different experience to like what you pick up.
Yeah.
It's like action films in the cinema are obviously like you will go there and like maybe if you watch it afterwards, like you'll not enjoy it as much because you're not in a cinema with like massive speakers and a huge screen. So I think that's probably definitely why.
Something like Alfonso Cuarón's Gravity, like if you've heard of it, that was like a big high budget 3D masterpiece meant to be watched in cinemas. If you're watching it on a small screen, then you're kind of missing out.
Yeah. Yo, I'm back. Are you guys still talking about The Shining?
No, we're talking about Gravity.
We're talking about
we still are, but
how like films in the cinema are obviously a lot different to films that you watch.
From
like
viewing at home.
The experience,
we got onto that because we said like obviously the reception was bad for The Shining, and Arran said it was only till the second time he watched it.
I think it was okay at best, but I really did enjoy it the second and even third time I watched it, because when I saw it after the second time, I watched it a day later with a family member, and they were annoyed because I was like, so this in the background, this and this, and it could connote this, and it's really interesting, and like they were like, shut the fuck up, I'm trying to watch a movie here. But honestly, it's so good. I don't know why I love it so much, but
have you watched the documentary? I think it's called like Room 23 or Room 20 or something.
237.
That's it. Yeah. Have you seen that documentary?
I've seen bits of it on YouTube. And
right. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Footage of Kubrick directing the film. There's actually very few. There's very little footage of actually Kubrick or any audio.
Right. Yeah. I just love it. There have been so many theories about what everything means in The Shining that somebody can go and make an entire film about the theories that people have come up with about the film.
It's great. Some of them seem like really stupid. Like, to be honest, I don't believe for a second that it's a confession for that Kubrick filmed the moon landing. But it's just it's
Right,
great, you know.
yeah.
It's great nonetheless, though, that people will like.
He did film the moon landing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. We
don't
haven't
forget
been
it.
there. We
We're
haven't
just
been
not
there.
saying it. But,
Nope.
but just it's really amazing. In particular, just the theories about like I was saying to Joe, when I first watched it, I felt like an element was missing. But then once I watched it back, I picked up on a lot of the other details. There's so many ways it can be construed. It's amazing. Like, is it about the hotel being built on a Native American burial ground, so the hotel's haunted, and that's the reason for the apparitions? Or is it there's what was it? There's this character called Stuart Ullman, who's like the hotel's manager at the start, and he alludes to this thing called cabin fever. Now, I think it's basically isolation.
It's
to do with isolation.
Being isolated for a long time essentially makes people go crazy. It's a real thing. If you isolate somebody for a long time, they start having hallucinations. They start hearing things that aren't there.
Yeah. And is that the reason why the three characters, Danny, Jack, and Wendy, start seeing these ghosts and are responsible for their actions? In particular, Jack Torrance, because you probably know he does turn a bit crazy.
Yeah, I've seen images of him wielding an axe, screaming at people. I kind of guessed he didn't get through it in one piece.
Yeah, but Nicholson's performance is brilliant as well.
He's brilliant in everything.
Yeah,
well, almost everything.
I've never really seen a film that I'd say I didn't like his performance. But then again, I've only seen.
You haven't gone looking.
Yeah, that's what he wants you to think. Like, I'm sure
he's just standing there. Look at these Oscar nominations. Look at the Oscar nominations. Ignore these terrible comedies that I made in the 90s.
I think I know this is going a while back, but I want to talk about because this kind of links into the film I've been watching and want to talk about the whole like seeing it in the cinema and then seeing it at your home kind of thing. Obviously, Star Wars is a huge thing, and Rogue One in specific. I put off this movie for so long because
I remember you saying
even though I love Star Wars so much, for some reason I just wasn't going to the cinema for a while. Like I just missed out on so many movies in the cinema like during this period of time, and
I wanted to go and see Ragnarok, but I decided not to.
I missed that as well.
To be honest, I'm like I used to like always religiously go and see the Marvel movies, but recently, like I think it was when Deadpool came out, and I have watched Deadpool recently and I loved it, but I won't talk about that right now. But like, I just stopped completely. Like even like obviously like the big Avengers one and everything, and the Captain America one and whatever. Like I've just missed out on everything, and
that's fair enough.
I don't miss it that much actually. Even though like people talk about it, like I feel like even though I've not been seeing them, I don't actually feel like I'm missing out, which makes me think,
I mean it's so saturated into the public anyway. But like and I think the other thing with the Marvel films is they never really get to anything too deep. They never really have, say, a message or an interesting point to make. They're just pure entertainment.
I hope they rectify that with Infinity War. If everyone makes through it unscathed and all kiss and make up, then
I've still got my theory that if they don't kill at least 5 main superheroes, they're chickens and they're not doing it properly.
There's so many characters.
I'm telling you, they kill Tony Stark, they kill Captain America. What was the theory? Yeah, the theory came out the other day is that they kill Spider-Man just right away.
Just straight away.
Just straight away. Yeah. Just kill all the new characters, destroy everything.
No, but the merchandise for Spider-Man, it will just become useless.
Yeah, but who are we
but that's the reason.
Spider-Man costumes too.
I mean, like, that's the thing that scares... Well, it's not scares me, but will probably upset me the most, is that this new film that they're making is meant to be essentially like this apocalyptic event. It's meant to be the culmination of all these years of films. And if they don't kill off main characters to cement that this new threat is something they have to deal with seriously, if they don't kill off main characters, I'm going to assume it's because they want to sell toys. Like I'm going to assume it's not because they're afraid of the risks they'll take in storytelling. It's because Disney and Marvel are afraid that they'll lose out on like a huge set of revenue.
Because it is ridiculous how much they make from the toys. Like
I mean, it's billions and billions.
It's crazy. Like
like
it's the same with like even The Force Awakens and Star Wars. Like I do want to talk about BB-8 a little bit because like he is obviously just like eye candy or whatever. But I think the new
I bought some oranges with him on them. That's some good merchandising.
Man,
eye candy. You don't mean like in a sexual?
No. Obviously,
No.
For young kids buying toys sort of thing.
I know.
But, like, I think the new one's worse. Like in the Last Jedi, like this wee like whatever that wee animal is. Like I think it's cool.
I've deliberately not watched any trailers of it.
Okay, well, it's just a Star Wars animal like in the universe.
I think I've seen the picture of it. It's like this very cute little looking sort of, I don't know, fish bear.
Yeah, it's weird. See, I like to defend BB-8 because of the way he's designed. I think it was a really good design choice.
It's very cool. Like I can't think of like another robot that really looks like that or moves like that. It's like instantly I was interested in him.
Yeah.
Whereas like from the pictures I've seen of those little cute new animals, I just immediately think, it's fucking Ewoks again, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely a merchandise thing.
They're just like shaved Ewoks, and like you can already picture like the teddy bears and like the little like.
Yeah, they're already out.
Oh Jesus!
For me, it's though with BB-8, the thing I like about his design the most is with R2-D2 and C-3PO or whatever. They're both slow, right? Like R2-D2 had like his rocket booster or whatever, but he doesn't use it very often. With
he
BB-8,
didn't. That never happened.
Yeah. One of the amazing things about BB-8, well, not in the films, but like obviously in other stuff. Anyway, we'll try and forget about that.
We'll try and forget about them.
Yeah, still to this day. But BB-8, though he can move so fast, which means he can be in chase scenes. I never really thought about
of course.
Like, in Force Awakens, spoiler ahead, it's not actually important, but when Finn and Rey meet up for the first time, and like, because I watched it again recently because I just wanted to, and basically, like they're running away from the First Order troopers who have found them in the market, and BB-8 actually gets to be in the chase, which I think is great because like I think with R2-D2 and stuff they were limited, so like they wouldn't be able to have chase scenes when R2-D2 and C-3PO were around, because it wouldn't make sense. But with BB-8,
that's very
he's
true.
Running away as well, and it's sort of like, I don't know, makes him more.
That's very true. I hadn't actually, I really hadn't thought about it before. It makes sense that having this more mobile character allows him to be in more scenes. But now you mention it, like I can't think of a single scene in those first films where the robots had anything to do if it wasn't a dialogue scene. Like they couldn't be involved in any of the action. They couldn't be involved really in any of the events that take place. They're just sort of there a lot of the time. Having a more mobile character allows you to put them in more situations. I now want to see BB-8 have a fight scene.
It never really occurred to me, but it's quite cool because when they were on Jakku, they're running away from the First Order stormtroopers. If it was R2-D2, then we probably wouldn't be on a sand oh wait, never mind.
They ditch him.
They
literally just ditch him. Like that's the only option you have. Like because he's not going to.
They're not going to put their lives. They're not going to put their lives in danger for a droid. So, same with C3.
No, I'd put my life in danger for a cool droid.
I think they'd do it, but like, well, they wouldn't though, because obviously, if they were in this situation with BB-8, they literally just met that droid. So it's like, I literally just met you and have no attachment to you whatsoever. But like, I think it's really smart that they did that, and that's why I defend BB-8 because a lot of people hate on him and stuff. But I think like that was a clever design choice, and they were like, "Oh,
no, absolutely, it gives them way more options in terms of putting that character into different situations." No, that was a really good point.
Yeah,
I learned something today.
A lot of people don't like The Force Awakens though because of the very, very similar parallels to the first ever Star Wars film.
I mean, I loved it when I first saw it, but on repeat viewings. Sorry, go on.
I watched a video recently. A really cool YouTuber, don't even remember his name. It's like the Cosmonaut Review or something. He's part of like the Earth Trio or something, and he basically made this really interesting video on like it's called It's Okay to like The Force Awakens, and he literally just nails every point that people like the main points that people had for hating The Force Awakens, and he's just completely right. Like you literally could watch that and try and like go against his points, but it's just impossible because it's just true. Like he just points out facts. It's not like he's giving his opinion. It's literally factual. And like the one that really got me was like everyone saying Rey was OP. Like this was like such a big one. Like they were saying like, oh, how can she use like a lightsaber without any training.
I don't mind that at all.
How can she beat Kylo Ren? Yeah, exactly. But then he shows how overpowered Luke Skywalker was.
Yeah,
and you completely forgot how but it's because you're thinking like, if you, as someone like me who got the privilege of seeing the prequels before the originals.
Oh wow, really?
Because of the age,
Really?
yeah, because of the age.
Oh my god.
I suppose, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like
Are
a
you
lot
okay?
of people. Am I okay? Well, that's the thing. A lot of people like me grew up with the prequels, so it's like you don't really.
That's weird.
Because as a kid, you accept a lot more, obviously.
I can't imagine that world.
Exactly. So a lot of people forget that children grew up with the prequels, so they were like, it was okay to them.
You're like an alien.
But to me, now that I've seen the classics and the Clone Wars like animated series, it's like, this is really bad. Like that sort of thing. But I can still look back at it with nostalgia and be like, okay, I saw this when I was a kid. And like, I think, I don't know, to me, like out of all the factions, I still love the clones the most out of the military factions.
I think they're the most interesting.
Yeah, I think
without a doubt. And like they look really cool.
Yeah, I think that was the main thing for me as a kid, like the way they look. And
yeah,
the way
like
were branded
we can all make fun of the prequels, but like I'm a sucker for big battle scenes in a sci-fi film. Like no matter how bad it's done, no matter what film it's in, like I'm just a sucker for seeing lasers fire off everywhere and cool, weird, bizarre robots and ridiculous spaceships that, let's be honest, don't really make sense. But like, I'm just basically just throw a bunch of cool toys in front of me and I'm quite happy.
I really like the prequels, but a lot of it is to do with nostalgia. Like I realize the flaws and stuff, but I still really enjoy them.
Wait, even Jar Jar?
I didn't.
Even Jar Jar.
When I first saw it when I was very young, I didn't mind Jar Jar.
Jar.
I didn't mind Jar Jar. He wasn't that bad at the time.
Yeah,
at the time.
I love how he's hated on though. I love like the joke he's the most
it's adorable.
Do you know what? It's very realistic because in the actual like lore itself, like he actually is hated, like even by his own people.
Yeah.
Like his backstory is like basically he was like everyone like just hated him, so he wasn't a part of society.
Yeah.
So what he did was he had to like sort of beg. But he was more of a street performer, so he'd like juggle. Like, you know how you can juggle? Like, there's an actual reason for him being able to like juggle and do all that sort of stuff. And it's because he did it for the kids. He like stood at this fountain and like juggled stuff, and like all the kids would come and watch him. Yeah. And like, so basically his only friends were these kids that came to watch him juggle. And it's all really cool, and then obviously like he gets involved in the battle and becomes like a war hero or whatever, so he has to be accepted. But like everyone still sort of hates him.
Shit, I feel really bad for making fun of him now.
Exactly, yeah. Like,
you don't find that out in the movie, and in fact, it probably would have been better if they wrote that into.
It's very back. Yeah, it's very
just what you mean, like had like a really sad flashback.
Yeah, like he was an underdog or something, or he was picked on and he genuinely got upset about it or something.
Yeah.
Does this mean that The Phantom Menace is a really excellent piece of art house cinema?
Yeah,
that manages to, like, it completely evokes the mood that society has against its character.
Sorry, I meant to say that.
We the viewer have become the civilization in the film itself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my god. Maybe George Lucas is a genius.
We are one with the Gungans.
The Gungans. Are they Gungans or Gungans?
No, it's Gungans.
Gungans.
I just say Gungans as
Something I will say, I love the underwater city.
It is cool. Yeah.
It's very cool. I want to live in a bubble under the ocean.
Man,
I already live in a bubble.
I don't like.
Oh my god, you're right.
I want to stop Star Wars here because I feel like we could go on for hours.
Oh right, yeah, that's right. Loot crates.
Yeah.
Right, so the issue with EA's loot crates, not enough Jar Jar.
Not enough Jar Jar.
Not enough Jar Jar.
Man.
Why isn't Binks an unlockable character, EA?
That's the real problem. Who's Binks?
Wait, who's Biggs?
Jar Jar. Binks.
Why isn't Binks? Sorry,
Binks.
Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, I forgot he had a last name.
Yeah.
Biggie Jar Jar.
That's how little I care about him. I feel bad. He's a street performer. I shouldn't. Oh.
He's actually a lot better in the animated series, which I have been watching a lot of, but I don't want to talk about it right now because we should move on.
Here's something interesting. One more thing about Jar Jar.
Okay, one more thing about Jar Jar.
I'm not even kidding when I say this. Apparently, his father committed suicide because of him. Wait,
no,
I'm not
I
even
mean,
kidding you. Apparently, there was.
Is it
It's
official
about- it's-
lore though? Because like,
yeah, it's that official
the
lore.
thing with Star Wars, especially now, a lot of stuff from Legends, like was in canon, has been moved to Legends because of all like Disney taking over and stuff. So
yeah, that's fair
it's
enough.
a lot has changed. So that might not actually be
Alright.
true
Yeah.
to this day. You have to be very careful with what is Legends, which is like user create
Yeah.
stuff, and actual canon. So
All right.
Can I
have no
just
idea.
say my favorite piece of Star Wars canon that has sadly been removed by the Disney
oh,
overlords?
go for it.
Don't say Revan.
Do you know how Chewbacca died?
I don't.
What? No.
Ah,
I now know that he
Okay.
dies.
Okay,
I mean,
yeah.
everyone,
He dies.
every character will die at some point.
Every
So,
character
it's
will die
not
at some
really
point.
a spoiler because
Yeah.
you've
But-
not told us. Yeah.
but how many characters die by trying to stop a moon hitting a planet?
Oh, that's pretty cool.
The
And that's
way
because this isn't in the canon anymore. You can totally just spoil it. Like,
the way Chewbacca, big old furry Chewbacca, decides the
Yeah.
best way to stop a moon from hitting a planet is if he literally just holds it.
oh,
So he's standing on the planet
yeah,
as this moon's coming in to hit him, and he's just trying to hold it up.
Yeah.
He's just
How the hell
trying to
does
hold.
that
But
work?
I mean, yeah,
here's the thing: it doesn't.
Yeah.
Like it would have to be the tiniest planet.
yeah,
But
he just
no,
dies.
he literally dies trying to stop this moon from falling on a planet so that enough people can get off in time.
You got to
And
respect him.
it's like one of these huge heroic, like, no, you go on, I'll hold them back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just this fucking bear trying to stop a moon from hitting a planet.
I love that. Like Disney just removed like some of like the ridiculous stuff. Like obviously like
Oh, yeah.
even like Star Killer, how he's like really OP and stuff. Like they just removed all that.
Mhm.
They were just like, okay, this is
Do you
just a
think
bit
they did
much.
that with? Do you think
Yeah,
they did that with Marvel then? Like, surely not.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
What Disney? Nah. I think Disney kind of embraced the utterly ridiculous elements of Marvel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they had to. If they tried to make it more realistic, serious, they would be, DC and Warner Brothers.
It's superheroes anyway, so like they're just I don't know. Like
In fairness, Star Wars has a lot of superhero stuff in it.
yeah, but it's more
Dude
of a
can literally
realistic
shoot lightning.
world. I think it's
Yeah.
because of like the technological advancements though, because like Marvel's still based in this world. With Star
Right,
Wars,
yeah,
you have
yeah,
the
of
freedom
course.
of it being like something completely different.
Yeah, you never have to explain
Mhm.
anything in this very kind of adventurous sci-fi setting, whereas in Marvel, which literally takes place in places like New York,
Yeah.
you have to make up fake metal that this thing is built from in a country that is vaguely believable. You have to try and actually present some kind of real world
Yeah.
setting. Like obviously you get a lot of leeway. Like there's literally a dude called Bruce Banner who turns green and smashes things.
Yeah.
Like people can accept the ridiculousness of the situation. Wait, actually, hang on. I take it all back. They have a talking raccoon.
Yeah, I think in
Yeah.
Marvel it's mainly like in the ways of science. But yeah, I think Guardians of the Galaxy like breaks that a lot because of all the space stuff and like
That is true. It is also in space. Maybe space is the key to just being as ridiculous as you want.
I think so because like when you get on the topic of like other planets and other species, it's like I mean you're running free at that point, to be honest.
Yeah, that's
Like,
true. All you have to do is either use the phrase like new biome or nanomachines,
Yeah.
or just say this fish people are psychic, and then that allows you to do whatever you want because nobody's gonna, disregard fish people being psychic.
Yeah. Like who are they to tell you? Like that's the beauty of it though. It's kind of like you could even go to like Dungeons and Dragons and just say it's your own universe or like
Fuck
anything.
yeah.
It's like whoever makes it can. It's like such a beautiful thing that they can just do whatever they want. Like I'm sure so many people are so jealous of George Lucas, but like obviously you respect him because like he thought of this, and like
Yeah.
even if he's like the worst guy ever,
He
you
took a
still
lot
gotta
of
respect
risks
it.
to actually make Star Wars itself because
Yeah.
I think the only person who gave him positive feedback was Spielberg. Everyone else at the time, I think they didn't believe in it or anything that they saw. They
Yeah.
thought,
Mhm.
no, this isn't going to take off.
Mm.
No,
and then
absolutely.
And it's arguably the most successful film franchise of all time.
I mean, I don't think there's an argument like it has to be.
Yeah,
it just
yeah.
has to be the most
Yeah.
successful.
Yeah.
There is
Like
that
think about like. I mean, how
I
much
mean,
did Disney buy it for? Like 6 billion
Yeah.
or something?
And I
Right,
mean,
yeah,
there's
the
a-
fact
there's
that
a
it's
film-
worth that much alone.
I think it was 2 billion. Oh no, I might be thinking of something.
No, it must be way. It was definitely way more than 2 billion.
Yeah.
I mean, the films themselves made that much easily.
Yeah.
I might be thinking of Minecraft or something here.
I don't know.
Oh no, yeah. Minecraft was bought for about 2 billion.
Yeah.
That's very different from Star Wars.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't know why. I just remember billions being tossed about.
Saying that, I would love a Minecraft game based in Star Wars planets. Like that would be the best.
Would be cool, yeah.
That would be the best.
I think, like, if you look at it from like a business standpoint as well, like there's a 4th movie trilogy being made.
Oh Jesus, yeah, that's right.
Like,
yeah.
and
in fairness, the movie trilogy is being fronted by Rian Johnson, who's like an incredibly talented director.
Yeah.
Admittedly, he's only made 3 films? Well, 4 now, if you include the new Star Wars film.
Yeah.
But like that dude knows how to create atmosphere. He knows how to create really interesting, dynamic characters. Yeah. He's a fantastic writer. If you're going to trust anybody to set up a new trilogy, it's him.
I think as well, like that's going to be a lot more common with like directors and stuff, because like obviously media has become so huge, and like there's so many people going into the industry now, and it's the same with like how the actors, like it was their, first film they were acting in or whatever for Star Wars. I think because it's such a huge industry now, there's going to be a lot more younger people coming in that don't have much experience doing these huge films.
Like if you look at even just, we're talking about Marvel earlier, the number of directors they've had, especially for kind of their second and third wave of films, loads of those directors have only made 1 or 2 small indie films. Rogue One, which you mentioned earlier, directed by Gareth Edwards, he only made 1 small film, Monsters, which he made for the most minuscule amount. It only had a cast and crew of 4 people.
What?
Like that? Yeah, it was a tiny film. They didn't even have the script. It's kind of amazing, actually. They literally just improvised the entire thing, and then he did all the special effects on his computer at home and edited this.
That's awesome, though. That's what I love about filmmaking.
It's very cool. It's very cool. He basically just filmed them on a road trip around South America, and then in the editing suite turned it into a really amazing alien invasion film, which is kind of nuts. But yeah, he like made this one tiny film, and then suddenly he's getting offers to make Godzilla and Star Wars. You have who else is it? I mean, like Waika Yatiti. That's not his name. Who's the guy who did Ragnarok? He did Flight of the Conchords beforehand. I can't remember his name. But yeah, you have a ton of these small indie directors being brought in, and I think a lot of that has to do with big studios are realizing that people are starting to find formulaic films quite stale.
Yeah.
People are getting tired of, like, a couple months ago we had like Geostorm.
Oh, fuck that.
Right, that exact reaction. It's like, oh, here's another big disaster film made by the same people who always make disaster films. Whereas with Marvel films and these new Star Wars films, you bring in some fresh perspective.
Yeah.
And you get things like Guardians of the Galaxy. You get these really adventurous, fun films that try something different from your normal blockbuster.
Yeah.
And people react to it really positively. And not only does the studio make a bunch of money, not only do they get a bunch of new fans who think that they are creative, when, in the grand scheme of filmmaking, they're not really being that creative.
Yeah.
But, for a mass audience, something like Guardians of the Galaxy it's completely wacky and surreal and utterly bizarre compared to what you would normally get.
Yeah.
And at the same time, this indie director, this person who's only worked on smaller projects or been in the background, gets a chance and is suddenly in charge of, or a major player in one of the largest franchises going around.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's crazy, yeah. And,
obviously it doesn't work all the time, but people respond positively to large companies taking risks.
Yeah.
I think, the Marvel films are pretty consistently good. The writing is quite funny. They can appeal to, massive audience.
Audiences.
Like if like China, like they're probably I'm sure that the films are shown in China and stuff with subtitles.
I mean, China has in the last couple of years opened up to being one of the largest film markets in the world.
Yeah,
like there are tons of examples of huge films that suddenly start to pander to the Chinese audience. Like in the last in the last Transformers film,
Oh no.
They have that entire section where it's like, oh, American government can't do anything. Luckily, the Chinese government can, and the Chinese people, because communism is great. Anyway, buy tickets to see our film.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it because.
I would like to point out I've never watched a Transformers film.
You've never watched a Transformers film?
I'm a good person.
You're not really missing out, to be honest. I've never cared for them.
As I can't remember when the first one came out, but I know I was around like 12, 13. It was cool when I was that age. Like, I just wanted to see cool things, and that was cool to me. But obviously,
the more you're younger, you don't care.
Ones that came out.
Yeah, well, as an old dad, I'd just like to say...
local dad.
A local old dad. Just like to say. But, no, like the idea of robots that can transform and hit each other, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm all for that. But, like, the total cynicism of those films.
The story just ruins it. Like, just throw out the story out the window. Just make it like these random robots like crash as a meteorite into the Earth and just start dueling it out, and everyone's like,
honestly,
like,
make it Pacific Rim. Like, that's the answer to it. Make it Pacific Rim.
Yeah, I heard that was a good film. I've never seen it.
It's really good fun.
Yeah,
like it's very silly. It's very silly and it is very dumb. But if you think of it as like an anime, it suddenly makes a lot of sense. Like a Saturday morning anime. But like, that has the best giant robots.
Okay, I think we're going to round it off there because we've been going quite a good while now. It's been a good
we certainly have.
First podcast. I've enjoyed it a lot.
I didn't even get to talk about the TV I've been watching.
We're going to have to save that for next time because I think like, we're going to have a much more like a better formula for future because obviously we talked about games for a very, very long time, which was great, but wow. We have spent a lot of time talking already.
That's cool. We can switch it up and talk about other things next week.
We definitely can. So
like dad stuff.
Like dad stuff.
Like dad stuff.
Even though none of us are actually officially a dad, we'll talk about dad stuff because...
Are we unofficially dads?
I think so. Yeah. Nice. I mean, if you want to be.
Next week, can this dad talk about the TV show he's been watching about prostitution because it's really good and we should all watch it?
Oh,
for sure. That sounds very exciting, and that's why you should all tune in to our next episode.
Next time.
Yeah, because who doesn't want to hear about a TV show about prostitution from an unofficial dad? I mean, that sounds pretty good to me. So yeah, we're gonna wrap it up there.
I'm always an official dad.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us and listening, and join next week for more dad and prostitution and TV and media.
Not
action.
Combined. It's not about dads visiting. Dads and prostitutes don't go together. If you are a dad, stay away from prostitutes.
I also.
If you are a prostitute, stay away from dads.
Unless you're really desperate for money,
or you actually have a son or daughter, and you have a dad of that son and daughter. In which case, be close to that dad, but not other dads.
Yeah.
What if the dad's single?
All right, we are really going to finish.
If it's like a dating situation, yeah, sure, why not? But if that's a tricky one.
Oh, okay, right. Thank you.
We'll save this for our philosophy podcast.
I knew this podcast would get weird at some point.
It just
hey, Arran.
Arran.
Yes.
Do you think Joe will ever be able to finish the podcast?
I don't think it will.
No,
I'll
absolutely
answer that question for you. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Who's your favorite dad?
You'll tune in next time.
Who's your favorite prostitute?
Media Munch. Thank you.
Oh yeah, Media Munch. Bye.
Munch Media.
Munch Media. That's the one. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.